Hey guys, it's Karina. Welcome to Life of a Mermaid. Um, so yeah, today I'm a little emotional, and I'll kind of go into it right now. So I just want to tell you about my day, and then I'll tell you why. But yeah, so to happy Tuesday, happy Monday. I'm still off my days. Actually woke up in a really good mood today. I was a little worried going in, but I actually woke up in a really good mood. I overslept a little bit, just like 8 minutes, and Sal like woke me up. Like thank God. Um, yeah, so once like I was kind of dreading it, like I was kind of like doing everything in bed, and then once like I got up, like I said before, like once I'm up. I went to the gym. I felt pretty good. Like I said, I again didn't work out as much as I would have liked to, just because I had a call and other stuff came up. But I did a good workout. I was sweating. I felt sore, so that's always a good feeling. Work was pretty good. Didn't have much going on, just kind of catching up on things, getting things situated, sorted out. So that was cool, just had a good day overall. Then I met up with a friend today for dinner, so that was always nice, just getting to catch up, talk about what's going on with me, what's going on with her. So that was really good. Like I said, overall, I had a really good day. Um, so the reason I'm emotional today, some of you may know, some of you may not. I worked as a case manager. I have my bachelor's in human services, and I graduated in 2015, and I got a job as a case manager in this mental health clinic in Anaheim. I was work Before I left. I had been there maybe like a little over 2 years or something like that. But yeah, it was my first job, straight from school. My first job, like after years going back into the field. And I met this client. I shadowed an intake, and and then they were going to technically be my client. Afterwards, so they're like, shadow the intake, that way you can get to know them. You kind of see what's going on with them, and you can kind of start creating that relationship and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So I met them, pretty much like a week or 2 weeks after I started working there. And like I said, so I had a relationship with them maybe about a year and a half, close to 2 years at that point. So 2 years ago, they completed suicide. Um, Sorry, still a bit emotional. They completed suicide. It's something that they had been struggling with for a while. On and off. They had actually had an attempt a few months prior to when they were successful. But they had come to the clinic. They asked for help. They said how they were feeling. They actually had it on and off. They had a couple, more just the thoughts and feelings and stuff like that, but we were always able to kind of work through them. And then at that time, someone that they knew had completed suicide, and then it led to, them wanting to end their lives. And I remember asking them, like, do you know how you feel right now? And they're like, yeah. I was like, that's how how others will feel if you leave. Like, is that the feeling that you want to put on them? And I remember, like, at the moment, I was scared. I was terrified. I was like, what if they would have done it? What if they, would be gone right now? And that's the only ththing that came to mind. Like I said, at the moment, I wasn't sure if it was the right thing to say or not. I wasn't trying to guilt trip them. But it felt right to me at that moment. And so I said, how would you feel? Like how you feel now is how, your loved ones would feel. And that kind of like, I remember seeing their face kind of like, and I don't think they had thought about that at the moment. And they're like, yeah, and they're like we don't want that. And I was like, okay, so we kind of were talking, just kind of working through it and stuff like that. I went to the hospital. They got admitted and stuff like that, and it was probably a couple months. Um, you know, that they were in a better place. I mean, there were still a lot of things going on and stuff like that. And I mean, at that point, we were probably meeting weekly. And technically, as a case manager, I mean, I'm not a therapist, but we're supposed to meet with them like twice a month, if anything. But we were meeting weekly. Sometimes we were like talking every day, every other day. Just because they were like in crisis. And again, they felt, we've been working together almost 2 years. So, we had a good rapport. We had a good relationship. They felt comfortable. They told me before, you should be a therapist. They're like, one day you're going to make a really amazing therapist. And I would always just laugh, be like, yeah, one day, I need to go back to school. But yeah, sorry. But yeah, so we were meeting, pretty much weekly. Like I said, I knew they were having a hard time. So I made an effort to call them, check in, how you doing, how are you feeling. I would assess. They would always say no. Or if they would say yeah, it would just be just thoughts, but no plans, no actions. Everything was documented, but I did my part. But yeah, so on October 1st, it happened. It was a Sunday, and that time, and then it was October 2nd. And getting the news was, I think, just as traumatic as it was, the news in general. I have been in the field. I would do visits. I can do home visits, field, me and them in the field, whatever the client's needs were. So I had gone to a home visit. I had like 2 or 3 that morning. It was a Monday. And I did one. I believe it was 2, and I did one. And so I was there for a bit. And then my second one wasn't home, so I came back, to the clinic early. And, I went upstairs. It was a 2-story building. I went upstairs, and we had our file room. We call it the work room. And, it was always a habit of mine. I would always go in there first before I checked in, because I was like, if I need to file, do whatever. I just, workaholic. So I went in there. And something had told me don't, but then, like I said, it was my routine. It was my thing of yeah, I just need to get work done, and then I'll go downstairs and I can focus on, my downstairs stuff. So I went in, and everyone was there, the whole staff, the whole, everyone. And I'm kind of I'm like, oh shit, what did I miss, right? And then, of course, then everyone's looking at me, and everyone's kind of giving me that look fuck, right? She's here. And I could feel that vibe, too. And I was just so of course, immediately my mind's oh my God, they're going to fire me. I didn't even know why. There was really no reason for me to get fired. But, of course, that's where your mind goes, right? You think the worst about yourself. You just, yeah, poor me, right? So, yeah, so I'm oh my God, they're going to fire me, right? And then they're Karina, and I'm yeah. And, again, everyone's standing there. Everyone's sitting there. Everyone's watching me. And then one of the supervisors goes, so-and-so committed suicide. I remember when I heard those words, my heart dropped. And I couldn't believe it, and I was just no. But at the moment, again, because everyone was watching me, I just kind of stayed composed, and I was okay. I was and slowly, some of the tears were kind of rolling. But again, everyone was watching me, and I just felt really uncomfortable. And then, they dismissed everyone, and then we started talking, and that's when, I started bawling. She took me to her office, and, I started crying, and she took me to her office, and we talked a little bit, and, she's you can leave if you want, and I was no, I'm okay. I have a couple appointments, I'm gonna stay, but again, then I left. I went, everyone, of course, oh, we love you, this and that, and I'm yeah. And I went into my office, and again, granted, that's pretty much where we met all the time, and she had given me a painting, and I had it on the wall. Sorry, guys. I remember I walked in, and immediately, I just felt her. And I started sobbing, uncontrollably, just sobbing. And I just kept asking, why? Why? Why'd you do this? Why? know, like, immediately I'm thinking, like, what did I do wrong? What could have I done differently? How could I have saved you? You know, I remember I took down the painting because it's like, I can't look at you right now. I can't. I remember, like, I was, like, sobbing. And I called, you know, I composed myself as much as I could, and I called my supervisor, and I was like, I can't be here. I was like, I'm sorry, I can't be here. I was like, I need to go. I was like, I need to go. And she's like, it's okay, you can go, you know. And I was like, I have one appointment, so I called my client again, composed myself as much as I could, and I said, hey, I was like, they didn't answer, and I was like, I left a voicemail. I was like, I'm sorry, something came up, you know, I need to go. I was not gonna make your appointment. I'll give you a call tomorrow and we can reschedule. You know, and I remember going home and I was just crying. And I took the next day off because I couldn't come back. At the point I was in therapy, so most of my sessions for the first few months was about the loss. But again, I think I felt so much guilt. You know, I felt like I could have saved her, like I should have known better, like I could have done something different. You know, it took months with my therapist, you know, and then once she asked me one time, like, you know, we talked about, like, kind of like I had shared that I was meeting with them weekly, that I, you know, I was calling them, I was doing this, I was doing that, you know. She's like, you're not a therapist, and she's like, even if you were, you know, she's like, we can only do so much. We're only so responsible up to a point, you know. At the end of the day, like, it's their choice, you know. And she, you know, she would do this thing where basically you take it to, like, the irrational side, and then you realize, like, I'm being irrational. So she's like, what else could you have done? Like, she's like, you say that you didn't do much, or you didn't do, she's like, what else could you have done? And I was like, you know, she's like, I was, you know, basically it came, like, you know, she's like, go irrational. She's like, go with it. And I was like, I could have, you know, given her my cell phone number. I was like, I could have called her every night. You know, I was like, I could have, you know, those are like the main things. And then, you know, we kind of like, I laugh as I said it, because again, that's like the number one rule with, like, you know, the field. Like, you don't give them your personal number. You don't do that. You know, you don't call them at night. So before you guys have a heart attack, I didn't do that, and I'm not going to do that. It was just, again, going on the rational side of things, because it makes you realize that, you know, that, yeah, like, it just makes you realize, like, okay, you did everything that you could, you know, on the rational side of things. So yeah, like, so that helped a lot. And then it was, you know, when I had a couple months after that, I met with another therapist at the moment, and same thing, you know, I processed it a little bit with her. It was still something that on and off would hit me. It was actually around the time that the first anniversary was coming up. And I remember I was having a really, really hard time, and that's when she, you know, she's like, you get to honor them. You know, she's like, so they do something that they liked, you know, their favorite color, something like that. And that's actually why I'm wearing yellow today. Yellow was their favorite color. And I would call them sunshine, because they were always so full of life. No matter what kind of day they were having, they would always joke around, you know, they would always make me smile. They would make others smile. So I always tell them, you know, you're a sunshine. You know, you're always brightening people's days. You know, and funny that yellow was their favorite color. But yeah, so my therapist has said, you know, honor them. Wear their favorite color. You know, maybe you can donate, like, to, you know, something that they liked, or, you know. And it was funny, at that time, I was working as a case manager. I had already left my previous company. I was working in a different company. And, you know, we had to start groups. And I used to have this group that I loved, still love doing, but, you know, I don't do it anymore because I'm a Java developer. But I did an arts and crafts group. And, you know, they were very artsy, and they love crafts, they love all that stuff. So it was funny, like, my first day of the group actually ended up landing on the anniversary without even, like, planning it. That's just, you know, the way it went down. So without even really thinking about it, like I said, I wore yellow that day, and then once I realized like the schedule, I was like, holy crap! Like I'm doing my group on their first anniversary. So I think again, talking with my therapist and kind of just getting to that point of like I'm doing something to honor them, shifted the way I saw it. And then again, like one thing that she said, she's like, this didn't happen to you. She's like, it happened, it was a shitty thing that happened, while you, like, on your shift, but it didn't happen to you. And again, that I think because I was taking it personal and making it like it happened to me. So when she said that again, it was just like a mind fuck, and it just shifted like everything for me, and I saw things in a different way. That I realized like, yeah, like I mean, I experienced the death of a client, and then of a death of a client by suicide. But then I realized, like I said, that's when I was really able to accept and realize that I did everything that I physically could and within my powers and my limits within my position. But at the end of the day, that was their choice. Not a choice that I necessarily agree with, or at least at that moment. I mean, again, now it's like I know they were in pain. I know that that was their way of ending it. I've had my own struggles. I've been there. So again, I could relate, and like I could get it. And I think that's what made it even harder for me in the beginning, that it just felt like, like that could have been me at some point, or even that moment I was still like, it was this fight within myself, because I was in so much pain that I didn't want to live. But then I was like, I don't want to cause the pain that I'm feeling right now, to my loved ones. So it was a really dark time, just because again, a lot of emotions and a lot of different things are coming up for me. But yeah, like through therapy, like I said, I was able to just realize and accept that I did everything I could. Even I had like my supervisors, because they knew them, and they knew, our relationship, and they had talked with them and stuff like that. And and again, I had supervision, so I would share things, and as things come up, I would ask for support. So one of my supervisors had told me, she's like, they were very lucky to work with you. They're like, knowing their case the way that I do, they're like, they're like, this wasn't their first attempt. They were successful, but this wasn't the first time that they've tried this. So they're like, you saved their lives. They're like, you prolonged their life. They're like, because you helped them. You helped them live a little longer. But this was what was meant for them. This is what they wanted for themselves. And that meant a lot. And even when it happened, that Monday or Tuesday, I can remember. I think it was Tuesday, because I was gone Monday, and one to Tuesday. So Wednesday, I had a message from their sister, my client's sister, and I remember like, I was like, do I call them? Can I call them? So I asked, and they're like, you can call. And they're like, are you okay to call? So yeah, I was like, I don't want to overstep any boundaries. I just want to make sure if I can call, And it was a sibling that they were really, really close to. And I had met the sister before as well. And, so I called, and she's like, oh, I just wanted to tell you about what happened. And, she's crying. I was like, thank you so much. We actually, I got the news, but thank you for reaching out and letting me know. And I remember her telling me, she was upset too. She's like, why didn't they ask for help? Why didn't they say anything? She's like, but then, she herself processed in the moment, and she's like, I know they didn't say anything because I would have stopped them. She's like, I know they didn't call you because you would have stopped them. And I was like, yeah. And they said kind of similar to what my supervisor said. They're like, they hadn't been happy in a while, and they're like, they had a horrible childhood in life, and it's something that they carry with them for a very long time. And they're like, and I think this was just the last straw for them, and they just had to like leave. And I was like, so again, that gave me some comfort as well. But one thing that the sister said too was, she's like, I wanted to thank you, um, for everything that you did for them. You know, she's like, they would always talk about you and they would always say how much they appreciated you and how much you did for them. You know, so they're like, so thank you. And I was like, thank you for sharing that. And I remember I started crying. And I was on the phone with them and I was like, I'm so sorry for your loss. And she's like, I'm sorry for yours too, because I know they were important to you. And I was like, yeah. And I was crying. And then, you know, after I talked to my supervisor and I was like, I cried. And she's like, it's okay, you're human. And I was like, yeah, but I'm supposed to be the professional, you know? And she's like, yeah, but you're human. You lost, you know, you experienced a death to someone and someone that you were close to, you develop a relationship with. You know, she's like, yeah, we're clinicians and we have that professional relationship. She's like, you never crossed that boundary with them. But she's like, we're still human. You see them, you know, day in, day out. You hear their stories, you know, you bond with them, you know. And she's like, and that's what you guys did. You bonded, you know. So she's like, it's okay that you cried. She's like, I'm sure her sister appreciated that, you know, that and could feel that you care for them. And I was like, yeah. But yeah. So yeah, so today's their anniversary, 2 years now, and again I'm wearing yellow in their honor. I actually met up with a friend for dinner, like I was mentioning earlier. And you know, she had said like, oh, I think we should release balloons, you know, in her memory and like write her a letter. And I was like, yeah. But then we were talking. She's like, you know what, we're doing it. And I was like, okay. And I'm glad I did. So I wrote her a letter, just saying, you know, thank you for everything because I've learned so much from her in this experience. Just I shared some of the memories that we had, you know, and then, you know, we released the balloons, and then as we were walking back to our cars, me and my friend were talking, and, you know, I was sharing memories about them, and, you know, we're just laughing, and I was telling her, my friend's story, you know, how I was like, yeah, I would call her Sunshine. I was like, because no matter, I was like, she was always smiling. I was like, no matter what she was going through, I was like, she would always find it somewhere in her to smile. I was like, or say a joke to make someone else smile. You know, because one of the balloons that we released, well, we brought two of them, were smiley faces. You know, she did one, I did one, and then I did a flower, and she did a gold star. We did yellow again for favorite color. But we were saying how, you know, she's like, I was like, those balloons are perfect. I was like, they will love that. I was like, I know they're really happy right now, you know. But I was like, yeah, and that's when, you know, the whole smiling thing came up, and I was like, yeah, I was like, they would always be smiling, and then, you know, my friend Bree, she's like, she looks over and she's like, you know, she's living through you, right? She's like, you're her legacy. She's like, because you do the same. She's like, no matter how you're feeling, you're always smiling and you always help others and always put others first. So she's like, you're you know, you're carrying her legacy. She's like, you're carrying her with you, and she lives in our hearts. I was like, yeah. So again, I mean, I'm having a good day, and even now I'm still good. It's just hitting me, you know, like reliving everything in a sense, and you know, but it's a good thing because I'm letting it go. I've shared with some people. Again, some people were there when all this happened. A couple friends, South, my family were there when with me through all the loss and grief. Again, it got to the point where I wanted to quit my job. I wanted to quit the field. I remember I just didn't care anymore. I was like, what's the point? Why am I here? Like, obviously I can't help anyone. I felt lost. You know, I wanted to leave, but everyone told me, you know what, just take time, you know, be kind to yourself. You had a traumatic experience, you know, like, we're not saying don't leave if that's ultimately what you want. They're like, fine, but you know, right now you're just in pain, so you know the pain is making the decision for you, not yourself. Like, you're not thinking clearly. And I was just like, I don't fucking care, like, you know. But then I was like, okay, no, Like, you need the money. Where the fuck are you gonna work right now? So I stayed. And then again, through therapy and stuff like that, I was able to heal. And then I was able to realize that this is the field that I want. This is where I want to be. This is what I love doing. And I realized that even though I experienced something, like I had a hard experience, something that shook me to my core and broke my heart. I realized that even when things were that bad, at the end of the day, that's still something that I love doing. That I know that even though it ended the way it ended, that I gave it my all, and that I did change their life. That's when I realized, like, no, you're in the right field, and this is what I want to do. So I stayed. At that point, I just realized that I was in the wrong, company. I was in the wrong job. Like I said, I left. It took a couple of months for me to find some place. So I'm at the job where I am now. Like I've shared before, I got promoted. Started as a case manager within like 8-9 months. I got promoted into the employment department and became an employment specialist, and then I was there for 6 months, and then now I'm a job developer. So again, it wasn't me. It was just a company that I was in. I wasn't being appreciated, and just everything that went down, obviously, I think added to it. I think being there wasn't just a good thing for me all around. But yeah, so again, we released the balloons. It was a really amazing feeling. I got a little emotional, but again, good emotional. I think, again, just kind of sharing and relieving everything kind of brings everything back. But I'm in a peaceful place with it. And if anything, I just want to be as raw and vulnerable with you guys, so if you are experiencing the same thing, or if you would ever, lose a client to suicide, or complete suicide, that you can at least maybe remember, like, my story and my struggles, and just know that what you're thinking and feeling is normal. I wish no one would have to experience this, but if you do, just know that it will get better. You're not alone, and that you did everything that you could. And again, for those of you that are struggling, reach out, ask for help. You're not alone. You're loved. You matter. You will be missed. Again, that's conversations that I've had with myself as well. And, I've realized that people would miss me, and people would be hurting. So yeah. So please reach out for help. And again, for those that are not struggling, just be mindful of those around you. Be aware, listen to the signs, listen to what they're telling you, and then again, watch for what they're not telling you, and be aware of, what they're doing and not doing and stuff like that. But yeah, be kind, love each other, be there for each other. Reach out for help. And yeah, and again, this is in honor of Sunshine. May you rest in peace. You've taught me a lot about myself, about life, about death. And I'm continuing with my dream of becoming a therapist, and I always think about your words. I'm actually applying to school this month, so wish me luck. But yeah, so that's it. So again, in honor of Sunshine, may she rest in peace. And I'm doing good. I'm okay. Like I said, I needed to do this. I needed to share, and I needed to let it out. So again, thank you guys for your support. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to reach out. If not, I will see you until next time.